15 years, because I've always been into vintage amplifiers, vintage valve amps, old Voxes and Marshalls and all of that, and I amassed quite a collection of these things, and I needed to get rid of them, and I needed an outlet, and somebody else was doing a guitar show in Leeds, and so I hired a van and took all my amps to this show in Leeds, and when I got there, I was just knocked out with the whole concept of it, and they only did it as a one-off. So when they didn't do it the following year, I said, and I went to America. I went to a couple of guitar shows over there, and I just saw that there was a niche in the market, you know, a gap in the market, for somebody to be doing an annual show at least. And so we started the Northwest Guitar Show in Manchester, the Palace Hotel in Manchester.
I mean, it brings the guitars to the people. There's lots of towns at the moment with music shops, but they've got a dozen guitars in or whatever. These shows bring the whole shooting gallery to them, so they can see the Gibsons and the Fenders and the Gretschers and the Guilds, so they can see what other people sell.
Ain't no way to get along. Jump up on this train. I said jump up on this train. But I would, but that smoke will be back again. It's cool to come out and so people sort of say, oh, an interesting stand, I've never seen anything like that. And I mean, this is very much sort of shiny, expensive guitars, and it's almost like pocket money prices, so people can think, oh, I could get into this.
I think they're pretty cool. I think there's a lot of guitar players around here. It's a great area, this. I used to work in Manchester for a year and a half, so I know this area quite well. Pretty funky.
We're trying to get our sound sort of as a free-piece, the more, because we play a lot of blues clubs and blues festivals, but we want to really play the heavy stuff really, rather than down the road stuff. So that's why Joe Bonamasters appeals to us, because he plays the blues, but he modernises it, like Led Zeppelin did back in the 60s. You know?
It's a bit of obviously a meeting place for people. Some people haven't seen each other for a while, and it's just like a bit of a community. There's a nice buzz going on.
We do these shows because we just love seeing all the guitars and buying and selling and swapping, you know. So it's probably an addiction, really, you know.
From my point of view, we do quite a few of these, and it's good because the people who come get to talk to, you know, like I'm a product specialist for EV, so we get a bit of extra insider knowledge on that and stuff. But from us, we get to speak to people and find out about what they're doing in terms of gigging and playing, and it gives us better knowledge when we're talking about the products for who they're more suitable for in each way. So it's good because it's interaction.
I started endorsing PRS guitars about 5 years ago as a direct contact with Paul Reed-Smith, and he basically said, why don't you use my guitars? And he put his guitar around my neck. So after that I used them, but there's a bit more to it than that. It sounds very simple on the stage, and it makes people laugh a bit, but the reason I'm happy to do it is because they're such well-made instruments. You know, they're not cheap, I know that, but I believe they're kind of an investment guitar. I don't think they'll lose big money. I think if you pay the kind of right price for stuff, and 5 years on, or 4 years on as it happened, he said to me, look, we're going to do a signature, and I don't think I'm the only Brit to do it, but there's certainly not many of us, and, which for me was a great honour. You know, I think to have my name on a Paul Reed-Smith guitar is you know, I'm very proud of it. This one is very, very good. I always like, you know, having contact with the people, you know, and I think that sort of comes across. And you know, without these people, you know, out there buying guitars or playing or buying CDs or buying concert tickets and stuff, you know, well, there is no industry. You know, it's easy for us guys, you know, we're the players, you know, we don't have to buy tickets, we don't have to, but people work hard all week, they buy their tickets and they want to go and see a decent show. And I mean, lots of people said today that's the best £6 I've spent in bloody years, you know, and well, that's great, you know, and it's a nice, you know, it's a accolade to, you know, to me. Well, it's only happened once, and I'm the only guitar player to play Rory's guitar since, and according to his brother Donald only a couple of weeks ago, and you'll be the only one who does play it in the future. When I got the tap on the shoulder, I didn't even know he was there, because I heard this sort of audible gasp in the audience, and I thought, you know, my trousers had fell open or something like that, you know, and I turned around and he said, "Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think my brother would rather have liked, would approve of this."
Wow.
And I, you know, I got a bit of a lump in my throat, I must admit, and I thought, keep yourself together, you're on stage here, you know. And I looked round and there's like 300 grown men older than me in tears in the audience. It was a fantastic opportunity, a privilege, because, you know, I knew Rory well. He was a, you know, he was a friend of mine, but he's also an idol of mine, you know, so it meant a great deal to play that guitar. And I got to tell you, it was quite special playing it, and for reasons I still really can't explain. The guitar, I was using a Strat on the night, you know, because I thought it was respectful to do that, and I plugged the guitar in, and it still has the same strings on as the day that Raw played it, and strings go off, you know, especially when they're in the guitar case. I plugged this thing in, and I'd just restrung my own guitar, and this thing was more vibrant and more happening than the guitar was. It was almost like saying, "Come on, do it," you know. It was a privilege. I think the main guy that I'm kind of championing really at the moment is a guy called Davey Knowles, who's a British guy. He lives in America. He's got a band called Backdoor Slam, although I think at this point in 2011 now, I think he may be Davey Knowles' solo artist, but I'm not sure. He has a signature guitar, and he's only 22, you know. It shows you the belief that Paul Reed Smith has in somebody. He's a wonderfully accomplished guitar player, but he's a good songwriter and a very gifted vocalist, and he's the whole deal. A lot of us are still around because we can all play a bit, and I really do believe what I said earlier in the show. You know, I put a lot of it down to the lack of players who came out of the 80s. You know, when we were in the 70s, we all had heroes to emulate. I wanted to be Eric Clapton, I wanted to be Jeff Beck or Peter Green, and in our own way, all my contemporaries, you know, we got to a level, you say, well, I can't be Jeff Beck because he's, you know, Eric Clapton, because they're special. But what I can be is a good pro. And I think that's enabled us, because the phone still rings, but it's not ringing for the guitarist from Curiosity Killed the Cat. You know, I think that's maybe a decent analogy.
Yeah.
Maybe he's really busy, I don't know, I didn't mean that personally. If, you know.